In this problem, we are asked to randomly select 5 students from a list of 773 registered students. To do this, we are supposed to use a random number table. We are given a portion of a random number table here to use. A little bit about random number tables before we solve this problem. Random number tables are simply rows and columns of numbers which are often derived from random number generators on computers. The gaps in the columns of the random number generators are there just to help us keep our place. We can ignore them. In random number tables, you can move in 2 directions. You can move across the rows or you can move down the columns. This particular problem specifies that we are supposed to move down each column. Normally, if you had a complete random number table, you would randomly select a starting place on the table. You could close your eyes and point, and where your number or where your finger fell, that would be your first digit that you would use. In this particular case, since we only have a small portion of the table, they have said to start with the first number, this 9 in the upper left corner. Now we are looking for numbers between 1 and 773, so we are going to use 3 digits at a time. That would make our first number being 947. If we were looking only for, say, numbers between 1 and 50, we would only need 2 digits, and so in that case, our first number would be 94. So, starting to look for our 5 numbers here, we had 947 for the first number, but that's outside of the range of the numbers we're looking for, 1 to 773. So we skip that and move to our next number down. That would be 336. That would be our first number. After that is 913 and then 866. Both of which are outside of the range of numbers we're looking for, so we ignore them. We then have 634, which would be number 2, 391 we could use, 370 we can use, and then 481 would be our 5th number, and that would make up our 5 randomly selected students. 336, 634, 391, 370, and 481. So that solves this problem. But what if we were looking for, say, 7 or 8 students? Then we would still need to keep going down the table. The next would give us 942. We couldn't use. The last number here would be 336, but 336 was the first number we found, and so we don't repeat numbers. That number we skip. We then would, since we're at the bottom of the table, go back up to the top, start with the next 3 columns that we have not used, so we would discard the 9, the 4, and the 7, and our next number would be 948. Again, we just ignore that blank column. It was just there to help us not lose our place. And then we would go down from there. So then we'd have 955, 584, 939, and continuing down.